critically analyse.
And it's another year of critically analysing indeed. It's Grant Brindle here at PBA-FM with Media Moves, the program that's brought to you each month by the South Australian Association for Media Education, Incorporated, or SAMI, as we just like to say it. And SAMI is a professional association made of people from education, from the media industry, from the community, who are interested in furthering media and information literacy. And we've got to thank our sponsors, Valley View Secondary School, who are up on Wright Road at Para Vista, for their continued support. So thank you to Valley View. And before we get too much underway, I must mention that we do have an AGM coming up. And that's when everybody goes, oh, groan, AGM. At this stage, we look like Tuesday, the 25th of February in the evening. We'll put the final details up on our Facebook page. So usual thing of putting in members of our executive and looking at reports for the year. The other thing, though, this time is we're going to be ratifying our Constitution. Since 1983, I think it is. Our Constitution has been been on paper, and we've only just got around to digitising it and just sort of bringing it more up to date, and especially with things like having meetings virtually since the pandemic. So that's one of the things we'll be doing for that. So that's on the 25th, Tuesday the 25th, is our AGM. Now, coming up on tonight's program, the usual look around what's happening in the world of media. We've got our rapid resident reviewer, Linda. She's been off to the movies, so she'll give us her insights, what she thinks of the films that are on at the moment, and some bits of news and information over the next, what remains of this half an hour here on PBA-FM 89.7. What I'm going to start with, and it's become a little bit of a feature, is we take one of the Media Watch segments from the ABC, and we'll play that. And of course, those people who do follow Media Watch will notice that there is a new presenter this year, and the person running it is a journalist called Linton Besser. Now, I must admit, I really didn't know anything about him. I didn't recognise him. However, he's got good credentials. He's taking over the host of the long-running show, and he's a winner of numerous awards in journalism, including 4 Walkley Awards, 2 Kennedy Awards, and a George Munster Award. He was born to Jewish parents, Anne and Mike Besser. Was educated at Maria College in Sydney, and his grandparents, Sarah Weintraub and Wolf Besser, were Holocaust survivors that were interned at Auschwitz concentration camp. So we'll have a little bit of a listen to what. And I've chosen, I mean, there's quite a few things we could have talked about, but I suppose Donald Trump is the person that is capturing all the headlines. And I think Media Watch have got a good spin on it. So let's have a listen to what they had to say. This was broadcast Monday night.
Donald Trump has stunned the world, threatening to invade Gaza and drive its citizens out at gunpoint if needed.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it.
Hello, I'm Linton Besser. Welcome to Media Watch, which, like you, has been watching the Donald Trump circus in disbelief as he announced last week a potential US takeover of the Gaza Strip to refashion it the Riviera of the Middle East.
Experts say the plan could constitute a war crime, trigger a humanitarian catastrophe, a wave of international insurgency and terrorism, and even possibly start a new Middle East war.
Trump dropped this little grenade on the assembled media with practically no detail at all, leaving them scrambling for answers live on air.
Is this real?
Who came up with this plan, and when did they come up with it?
He said that world people will live in Gaza. including Palestinians and anyone else, I suppose.
Some of the folks over on America's Fox News found it all a bit of a laugh.
The MAGA Strip. The MAGA in the Mediterranean.
So will we call it Mara Gaza or Gaza Lago?
Sweetly absent from these jokes, the horror and carnage implicit in the proposal. But then again, the media has had trouble deciphering a US president so inclined to wild, ill-conceived plans. This one walked back by his administration in fewer than 24 hours. This is nothing new. It was only 7 years ago that Trump came up with the same solution to resolve tensions on the Korean peninsula.
They have great beaches. You see that whenever they're exploding their cannons into the ocean, right? So I said, boy, look at that bridge. Wouldn't that make a great condo?
Spoiler, it went nowhere. Despite how it might feel, not all of this is spontaneous. In fact, some of it is very deliberate, as Sky's US correspondent pointed out.
This is how Donald Trump does it. He resets the negotiating parameters to suit himself. He wants everyone to be unsure of what he's going to say next.
Since taking office this time around, Trump has pledged to take back the Panama Canal, buy Greenland from Denmark, and turn Canada into the 51st US state. He's also unilaterally renamed the Gulf of Mexico. So what's really going on? Trump conciliary and now convicted criminal Steve Bannon previously explained it to PBS.
All we have to do is flood the zone. Every day we hit them with three things. They'll bite on one and we'll get all of our stuff done. Bang, bang, bang.
Which is why journalists and their editors must find the nous and the courage to concentrate not on the commandeering of Canada, nor the building of golf courses in Gaza, but on the real and radical changes being wrought at the same time, like an attempt to sack America's elections integrity overseer and the dismantling of the United States' storied foreign aid program, previously the world's largest single donor. Because while Trump Inc. is distracting the world with its orchestrated chaos, it's also trying to reshape it in ways that do really matter.
And that was Media Watch from Monday night and their look at Trump. And I think there's some pretty wise words there about Trump's tactics and that we need to be wary of them and not take the bait with all of them, but sort of waiting to see what really is going on. We're certainly in for an interesting 4 years, although I believe one satirist was bemoaning the fact that they couldn't do any satire because it was already happening. So anyway, we'll wait and see that. I know there are a lot of people who are feeling a bit depressed and pessimistic about what Trump is doing and what's going to happen to the United States, but perhaps it's not quite as bad as we think. And let's go to a bit of a brighter story now.
Wind gusts of 120 kilometres an hour and 12 millimetres of rain is what people in Coober Pedy had to deal with last night. And it's really sad news for the region's drive-in, which happens to be the last drive-in cinema in South Australia. It's been forced to close because the screen was so badly damaged in the storm.
Now, that was from the ABC last year. But the good news is that South Australia's only remaining drive-in is set to reopen. And that was after the devastating storm that hit it in November last year. And half the screen got ripped off the drive-in theatre there. However, Coober Pedy drive-in chairperson Chantel Bamford said, "There's only a small group of us that run the drive-in. There's a lot of teachers that volunteer, some of our community members. We've got a really good little team down here." The drive-in was first built back in the 60s and is one of the longest-running outdoor theatres in the state. And before it was built in 65, the only spot for people to hang out was at the store on what's called Truck Day, and they'd show films in the town hall, and they were projected on the wall of Brewster's store. Anyway, it's a real get-together there, picnic and opal miners coming in their work utes, the famous signs about people not to come with explosives in their utes, but to leave them at home. As Chantel said, the driving's always been there. It's a staple for the community. The whole time she'd been there, she's been there for 20 plus years. It's always been there, always on Saturday night. And they have tourists not just from South Australia, but across the whole of Australia and overseas who come to Coober Pedy just for the driving. And the official reopening is the 22nd of March. Actually, the opening on the 1st of March, excuse me. But they've got two films, Moana and Deadpool versus Wolverine. And then they're having the official reopening on the 22nd of March when they're playing the new Captain America movie. And that will coincide with the Fringe happening in town that weekend. And if you haven't been to the drive-in before, don't worry, because you don't have to pre-book tickets. You just buy your tickets at the gate, and they take cash. That's all they take. They only take cash. So, so that's good news that one of our old cinemas, or, out drive-ins anyway, at least, is still up and running. Coober Pedy is certainly a very interesting place to visit, and if you've never been there, make sure you put it on your itinerary of a place to visit. Of course, a lot of movies were made, including Mad Max and a few others, up in that area, so some things to see there. Okay, let's have a listen to see what our rapid resident reviewer has been up to.
Mufasa, The Lion King, a prequel to 1994's A Lion King movie. Orphan Mufasa and Taka meet, and Taka is going to be the next in line to the royal throne. And eventually, Mufasa and Taka will become brothers, but then years later, Taka becomes Scar, and you'll find out how. A very good film, 10 out of 10. Paddington in Peru follows the story of Paddington and the Brown family as they go to find Paddington's aunt Lucy in Peru, but they end up in the Amazon and the Peruvian mountains. A very good film, 10 out of 10. And Den of Thieves 2. A sequel to Den of Thieves, Big Nick is back on the hunt in Europe for Donnie, who got away in the first one and is now amongst diamond thieves. A very good film, 10 out of 10. Until next time, bye for now.
Movie Music Morning on PBA-FM every Thursday from 9 a.m. Join Linda for all the latest information about cinema releases, what's new to the DVD scene, 80s music and much more.
It's astounding.
Movie Music Morning with Linda, Thursday mornings on PBA-FM 89.7.
And yes, you're listening to PBA-FM, and the program is Media Moves, and it's me, Grant Brindle, in the chair for the remainder of this half an hour before the rock wizards take over. Anyway, on just looking at television, the total overnight ratings came in for, this is for Monday, and it looks like Channel 9 is leading the pack overall with in free-to-air TV in the 5-city metropolitan share, 32.7% watching Channel 9, followed by 7 with 26. Then ABC on 18.2, Channel 10 on 14.8, and SBS on 8.16%. Now the top programs, this is on Monday or Monday night, Married at First Sight, Monday night. Number one, can you believe it? A reach of 2,767,000 people watched Married at First Sight. I don't know. I really can't understand why people. I suppose it's some sort of soapy with people who are not real actors in it. Anyway, that was number one. Number two was the Super Bowl. Chiefs at Eagles versus Eagles on 7. That came in second place. Third place was 7 News. Then Channel 9 News, fourth. Current Affair came in fifth. And then Australian Idol came in in seventh place. The ABC doesn't come in until 10th place with the 7:30 report. But it did get a Guernsey in 16th place with 4 Corners, and in 17th place Australian Story, and in 20th spot Media Watch came in. So that's not too bad, I suppose, really. And just to sort of summarise it, the Philadelphia Eagles' resounding win over Kansas City Chiefs in the 2025 Super Bowl lived up to the hype and delivered 7 a daytime rating just short of 900,000, with the post-game drawing 548,000. And that was up on last year's average of 800. Married at First Sight, as we said, got off to another good week and number one program, even though the result was down 100,000 K from last week's audience. The Australian Story for ABC was slightly up on the previous week. 4 Corners was up by 40K, and Media Watch did well to pick up 85,000 more viewers for its second episode of the year. And anyway, that's what was happening in the world of television ratings, which is getting more and more complex due to TV on demand and streaming and all that sort of thing. But they still manage to work out how many people are watching so that they can work out how much to charge the advertisers. And speaking of which, I think Netflix now, I believe, are going to be running ads or charging you more if you don't want to see ads, or you can play less but still see the ads. Okay, let's have a look at music now, and on this day.
On this day in 1967, 15 police officers raided the West Sussex home of Keith Richards during a weekend party. The police, who were armed with a warrant, took away various substances for forensic tests. On this day in 1980, American rapper Gucci Mane was born in Bessemer, Alabama.
On this day in 1977, Pink Floyd released their 10th studio album, Animals. The album's cover image, a pig floating between 2 chimneys on Battersea Power Station, was conceived by bassist Roger Waters.
And there are a few other things that happened on this day, February the 12th, that you might not be aware of. The movie Wayne's World, which I'm sure people have heard of, if not seen, was released in America anyway, at least on this day in... No, hang on, it was 2 days later. It was on the 14th. I thought it was on the 12th. No, it's on the 14th that it will be released in 1992. And it was the 10th highest grossing film of 92. And one of course, the songs that are featured in Wayne's World was Bohemian Rhapsody, which evidently, as a result, got, I think 10 years after Bohemian Rhapsody was released, pushed it back into the charts once again, although there's a little bit of discussion about whether Freddie Mercury actually gave his blessing to it because I think he died, just a few months before the film's release. And Brian May from Queen evidently reckoned that Mercury saw the headbanging scene before his death and found it hilarious and approved it. But the director disputes that in a 2022 interview, saying it's probably not true. Anyway, Wayne's World, which had some really interesting things in, and I thought summed up media education. I remember seeing it on the plane coming back from a media education conference in Perth, and thought, well, after listening to all these lecturers and academics talking, here was a movie that summed it all up in one go. Anyway, so that's Wayne's World on Friday. Really is the anniversary of that being released. Some of the other things that were released on this day, being aware that the time is running out. Before we've got rock. We've got our rockers coming in. Rock hard. I hope they're coming in anyway. Ray Manzarek was born on this day in 1939. He died in May 20th, 2013. Of course, he's better known as the keyboard player from the group The Doors, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1993. Also on this day, the song Substitute by The Who was recorded. By the English rock band The Who, written by Pete Townsend, and the single reached number 5 in the UK and was later included on the compilation album Meaty Beaty, Big and Bouncy in 1971. The English punk rock band The Clash released Train in Vain, which was a single from their third studio album, London Calling, although it's not actually listed on the track listing because it was a hidden gem that you discovered later. And it was the first Clash song to reach the United States top 30 charts, and in 2010 was ranked number 298 on the Rolling Stones' greatest songs of all time. The Kinks on this day released their 16th studio album, Sleepwalker. And what else we have? Oh, to finish off with, on this day, we had 1982, we had Run to the Hills, and that was, again, another English band, the heavy metal outfit Iron Maiden, and it was included on the band's third full-length studio album, The Number of the Beast, and the song's lyrics document the colonisation of America. So I'm going to finish tonight, as the rock hard people rock in, I'm going to finish with Run to the Hills. Once I find it, and let's go. So till next month, Grant Brittle saying goodbye.